is Channel 2 News at 11.
A Thanksgiving trip ends in a nightmare. 7 children are rushed to the hospital after being found unconscious in a station wagon outside a Staten Island home. Good evening, everyone. I'm Michelle Marsh.
And I'm John Johnson.
The subject of Lou's report, Automotive Management Group of Westbury, is not related to a leasing company called Automotive Management Limited in Melville. John?
The Federal Communications Commission has given the green light for the merger of CBS with Westinghouse. The $5.4 billion deal should be sealed by the end of the week, making the new company the nation's largest broadcaster. We'll keep the CBS name and the famous I logo.
And coming up next, Channel 2 News goes undercover at the Manhattan nightclub that doesn't seem to have learned its lesson about drugs.
Also remembering the tragedy 32 years ago today.
They say
At a Manhattan nightclub known for its midnight highs. The Limelight got shut down for drugs, but as Channel 2's Mike Taibbi's investigation shows you, the club hasn't cleaned up its act.
From 6th Avenue, it looks every bit the church it once was. And even at night, you'd have to notice the velvet restraining ropes outside the front door, or simply know the Limelight to understand that inside, the scene created by club impresario Peter Gatien, the lone longtime survivor of New York's fickle club scene, pounds away, night after night, 2,000 to 3,000 customers on the hot nights. But on September 29th, after 12 years of operation, the club was suddenly shut down. Undercover detectives had made 17 separate drug buys inside the club, mostly cocaine, and several buys from club employees.
We noticed that drug dealing there was widespread. It was very open.
I think we got a serious wake-up call.
Club spokesperson Susan Wagner says the club got the message, paid a substantial fine, and reopened within a week. As part of the negotiated deal to reopen the Limelight, owner Gatien promised that he would clean up the problem of open drug selling. But as we found in 3 separate trips to the Limelight, the problem has hardly been cleaned up at all. On the third occasion, a Channel 2 producer walked right in the back door. No one stopped her and checked to see what, if anything, she was carrying. And in 3 hours, she saw perhaps a dozen instances of open drug use or drug selling. People fired lighters and smoked marijuana in plain sight. And in one third-floor backroom bar, cocaine or some other sniffable drug was snorted openly and offered for sale. In fact, it was no different than the drug use documented by Channel 2's hidden cameras last May in trendy clubs, including the Limelight, where this tape was shot, where drugs were as much a part of the scene as amplified rock music and high-priced drinks. Gatien's spokesperson concedes that we saw what we and our cameras saw, but insists that the club's rules are about to change drastically.
Now, in order for me to get into the Limelight, I will have to accept the fact that people will pat me down, will search my bag, and that if I in any way use drugs or have anything to do with drugs, they may call the police on me. That's the new standard.
The new standard will be imposed by the world-famous security firm Kroll Associates. Kroll's Michael Cherkasky, a former prosecutor, has this word for the club's future patrons.
It always has historically been, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Well, they can have a lot of fun without having anything to do with drugs.
But former patron Michael Sutton is not convinced of the club's stated new resolve. Last July, his friend Ed Harshman suffered a brain aneurysm while at the club and collapsed in the garden out back. The doors to the garden were shut by security staff at 3 a.m. Harshman, still alive, was not discovered until nearly noon. He died at the hospital a few hours later.
How could you have missed him? He's a grown man laying in the floor. How could you have missed him? So I just worry, makes you think, worry if they missed that, a grown man laying in the floor, what else did they miss?
That was a very, very unfortunate incident. I feel awful about it.
That cannot happen again, says Wagner of the Limelight, and these scenes of open drug use will no longer be part of the scene. But Bob Silbering still has to be convinced.
We are going to be taking a look at the Limelight and seeing if that has changed.
We'll take a look, too. Cherkasky of Kroll Associates says it will take another month to 6 weeks for the new security system to be in place. After that, he says drug users inside the Limelight will not only get the boot, they will also get handed over to the cops. As I said, we'll see. Michelle?
All right, thank you, Mike. It was 32 years ago today that President John F. Kennedy was assassinated in Dallas. There was a solemn observance at the grassy knoll near Dealey Plaza where Kennedy was shot while riding in a motorcade. Hundreds observed a minute of silence. And Senator Ted Kennedy laid flowers at his brother's grave in Arlington National Cemetery. Other members of the Kennedy family also came and knelt in silent prayer.
And coming up next, a possible big change in how New York pays off lotto jackpot winners.
Also, Ira Joe has the Turkey Day forecast, and Dennis has your holiday weekend entertainment guide, movies you shouldn't miss.
Yes. I mean, yes, sir. Good luck.
Channel 2.